Welcome back to the Path to Peace Therapy podcast. I'm Stephanie Buckley, parenting strategist and family systems coach, associate marriage and family therapist, mother to a thriving 23-year-old neurodivergent son with ADHD, and I've been married for over 3 decades, which means I've raised a child, stayed happily married, and lived through enough parenting trends to tell you this with confidence. If your home feels like it's being run by an iPad, an iPhone, a gaming console, or social media, this episode is for you. And if you're already defensive, let me just say awesome. I've touched a nerve, and perhaps that will set a fire under you and many other parents. To wake up and help your child help themselves. You wouldn't feed your child rat poison, give them a cup of bleach, have them drink a cup of vodka. Everyone would agree that would be dangerous, disastrous, and obviously life-altering for your child, but because the effects are slow burning with screen time, we have all ignored it and put our heads in the sand. I am here to interrupt the gaslighting that's convinced parents they're cruel, controlling, or outdated for protecting their child's brain. I am doing a vastly different episode this time. I am trying to shake you from afar to get you thinking critically and change your perspective. So brace yourself. Today's episode is called Dear Parent, This Is Why I'm Taking the iPad, iPhone, and Computer Away from Your Child. And yes, I mean it. Let's start with the lie we've all been sold. Somewhere along the way, parents were handed this quiet little lie. If you limit screens, you're depriving your child. If you say no, you're causing trauma. If your child melts down, it must mean you handled it wrong? No. Sometimes it means you are finally doing it right. Let's get something straight. You are not taking devices away because you're mad, punitive, or on a power trip. You're taking them away because your child's nervous system is being absolutely hijacked and someone needs to step in as the adult in the room. We did not know this information years ago, but the data is in and we know it now. So as I often say to my clients, to know better is to do better. So parents, you now know better. So let's do better. Why screens hit neurodivergent kids differently. Here's the part parents are rarely told plainly enough. Video games, social media, and constant screen access are not neutral for neurodivergent children. They are uniquely destabilizing because ADHD brains already struggle with dopamine regulation, impulse control, emotional modulation, and executive functioning. Screens don't just entertain the ADHD brain, they replace its entire reward system. These platforms are designed to deliver rapid, unpredictable dopamine hits. No effort, no waiting. No frustration tolerance required, which is neurologically irresistible to a brain that starts the day with lower dopamine reserves. So when your child can game for hours, but cannot tolerate brushing their teeth, doing homework, or transitioning to dinner, that's not hypocrisy. That's chemistry. You're not working with a child who won't. You're watching a brain that can't because it's been trained to expect reward without effort. And why you get the monster when you say, turn it off. Parents always tell me, he's fine until I take the device away. Exactly. Because when you turn off the screen, you're not just ending an activity, you're pulling the plug on the child's primary regulation source. Dopamine drops, cortisol spikes, the amygdala goes on red alert, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, cooperation, and impulse control goes offline. And suddenly your calm child is screaming like you've committed a felony. That's not manipulation. That's what's called neurological withdrawal, which means when your child loses it, that's not proof you are the one doing harm. It's proof the nervous system was dependent, and dependency is the very thing we're trying to interrupt. Social media, the sneaky one that wrecks self-worth. Now let's talk about social media, the quieter, more socially acceptable wrecking ball. Social media doesn't just spike dopamine. It trains the brain to measure worth externally. Likes, views, comments, being left on read. being excluded, being compared. For neurodivergent kids, especially those with ADHD and rejection sensitivity, this is devastating. One missed text can feel like total social annihilation. Emotional regulation collapses. Self-esteem becomes fragile. Anxiety skyrockets. And parents are left wondering, why is everything such a big deal? Because the nervous system is being yanked and pulled around all day long. Here's the part that really matters. Screens don't just affect your child. They restructure your entire family system. Parents become referees instead of leaders. Siblings live in constant emotional whiplash. Routines dissolve. The household organizes itself around device access. And suddenly you're negotiating with a screen instead of parenting your child. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you outmatched. Because you're competing with technology designed to override self-control. So yes, we are taking the devices away. Not forever, not dramatically, not without support, but intentionally, strategically, calmly. Because this isn't about punishment, it's about preventing neurological sabotage. When a neurodivergent child starts their day with screens, they spend their entire daily budget of focus, flexibility, and emotional regulation before breakfast. And then we expect them to function at school. That's not fair. That's not developmentally appropriate. And it's not working. What you're actually teaching your child? When you take the iPad, iPhone, or computer away, you are not teaching deprivation. You are teaching, building, and restoring emotional tolerance, frustration endurance, nervous system recovery, delayed gratification, internal regulation. You are teaching their brain how to function without artificial stimulation. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first, because any nervous system coming off a dopamine drip protests. But discomfort is not damage. Here it is. Save it, use it, repeat it. I'm not taking this away because you're bad. I'm taking it away because your brain needs help right now, and it's my job to protect you even when you don't like it. That's not mean, that's leadership. That's called parenting. The world is filled with the word no. It is everywhere. It is woven into adulthood. It is built into systems, institutions, workplaces, relationships, and reality itself. And yet, in homes across America, and frankly around the world, that word is disappearing inside the one place children are supposed to practice hearing it safely. How is your child supposed to operate in a world saturated with no if they never experience it in their own home? Think about your day as an adult. How many times do you hear no without even registering it? You apply for a promotion? No. The loan application? No. The traffic light? No, you may not proceed. Your spouse says no to dinner out because the budget doesn't allow it. Your boss says no to your proposal. The doctor says no to the medication you requested. Your body says no when it's exhausted. Your bank account says no when you overspend. Life says no constantly. As adults, we absorb dozens of micro no's every single day. We have built neurological tolerance for it. We don't collapse because the barista is out of oat milk. We don't scream because the meeting was rescheduled. We don't spiral because someone didn't text back immediately. Why? Because our nervous systems have practiced tolerating disappointment, delay, and denial. Children who are shielded from no do not build that muscle. When a child grows up in a home where discomfort is quickly removed, where boundaries are softened to avoid meltdowns, where screens are handed over to stop protest, what they are actually being taught is this: distress must be eliminated immediately, but the world does not operate that way. The world does not reorganize itself around one person's frustration. If your child does not experience no within the safety of your leadership, they will experience it out in the world without your buffer, and it will hit much harder. And here's what's critical. No, inside a regulated home is not rejection. It is preparation. It is nervous system conditioning. It is how frustration tolerance develops. It is how impulse control strengthens. It is how resilience forms. In neurodevelopmental terms, tolerating no strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for inhibition, flexible thinking, and emotional regulation. Every time a child hears no and survives it without being rescued from the discomfort, neural pathways are built. The amygdala learns that disappointment is not danger. The body learns that activation settles. The child learns, I can handle this. But if no is avoided because it triggers protest, then protest becomes the training ground instead of resilience. And let's be honest, many parents are not avoiding no because they are permissive. They are avoiding it because they are tired, because they do not want another explosion, because the meltdown feels like failure. But discomfort is not damage. Dysregulation during a boundary is not trauma, it is practice. If your child cannot tolerate no at age 8, 12, or 15, the world will teach it later and the stakes will be higher. A coach will say no, a professor will say no, a romantic partner will say no, a boss will say no, and if the nervous system has never practiced absorbing that word safely, it will interpret it as humiliation, rejection, or threat. The goal is not to say no harshly. The goal is to say no calmly and consistently enough that your child's brain learns something essential. I can be disappointed and still be okay. That lesson is priceless. Because the world is not getting softer, and if home is the only place that avoids the word no, then we are not protecting our children, we are delaying their development. Somewhere along the way, the parenting triangle flipped upside down. The child ended up at the top of the pyramid, and the adult slid to the bottom, stabilizing the entire structure while managing the emotions of the smallest, least developed nervous system in the house. And that is exhausting. Flip the triangle back over. You belong at the top of the pyramid. You are the adult in the room, so act like one. That does not mean authoritarian. It does not mean harsh. It does not mean cold. It means regulated, grounded, and structurally above the chaos instead of underneath it. In family systems theory, hierarchy matters. Healthy systems require a clear generational boundary. Adults lead, children follow. When that hierarchy collapses, anxiety rises. When a child senses that their emotions can reorganize the entire household, their nervous system becomes hypervigilant. They are now unconsciously managing the system instead of developing within it. That is too much power for an undeveloped prefrontal cortex. Children do not feel safe when they are in charge. They feel powerful in the moment, but beneath that power is anxiety. Because if they can overturn the structure with protest, then the structure was never solid to begin with. When you flip the triangle back over, something profound happens. The adult nervous system regulates first. The parent sets the boundary calmly. The child reacts, and the structure holds. That stability teaches the child something deeply organizing. My feelings are real, but they are not in control of the entire system. That is how resilience forms. You are not meant to negotiate every no. You are not meant to fear every meltdown. You are not meant to be emotionally held hostage by a 10-year-old with a tablet. You are meant to anchor the system. Think of a pyramid. The top does not wobble with every breeze because the base is solid. When you are at the top of the parenting hierarchy, calm, predictable, consistent, the family stabilizes beneath you. This is not dominance, it is containment, and containment is loving. Containment says, I can handle your big emotions. I will not collapse when you escalate. I will not panic when you protest. I will not give away leadership to make this moment quieter. When parents step down from leadership to avoid discomfort, the child steps up by default. And a child operating from the top of the pyramid becomes reactive, anxious, and dysregulated because they are carrying weight that does not belong to them. So yes, be the adult in the room. Say no calmly, hold the boundary, allow the feelings, stay regulated, let the wave pass without flipping the entire structure. Because your child does not need a friend in that moment. They need a stable ceiling above them. And when you take your rightful place at the top of the pyramid, the whole family breathes differently. If you are going to take my advice and take the screens away, you must replace them with movement that actually shifts your child's brain chemistry. Get your child involved in structured physical outlets like cross-country, taekwondo, kickboxing, wrestling, swimming, track, dance, gymnastics, skateboarding, climbing gyms, soccer, or flag football. These are not just extracurricular activities to keep them busy. They are regulation training grounds. High-intensity, rhythmic movement increases dopamine and norepinephrine in a steady, natural way while releasing endorphins that buffer stress and emotional reactivity. These sports build frustration tolerance, teach recovery after mistakes, and strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, flexibility, and follow-through. The goal is not to wear them out. It is to help their nervous system learn how to activate and then settle in a healthy, repeatable pattern. And this does not have to be expensive or complicated. Regulation can start right outside your front door or at the nearest park. Have them run around the block, shoot hoops in the driveway, do push-ups and sit-ups, jump rope, ride a bike, or play tag with a sibling. Take them to a local track and have them run laps with short walking recoveries in between. Run the stadium stairs or neighborhood steps to build strength and cardiovascular endurance. Set up shuttle runs between cones or mailboxes. Have them sprint hard for 30 seconds and then walk for 60. Add in bear crawls across the grass, crab walks across the driveway, plank holds, wall sits, or timed agility drills with side shuffles and back pedals. You can even create obstacle courses using household items, carry weighted backpacks for short distances, or do medicine ball throws against a wall. Even 10 minutes of intentional, intense movement changes brain chemistry. It boosts dopamine naturally, lowers cortisol, increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, and gives the nervous system the proprioceptive and vestibular input it craves. When you move the body consistently, you stabilize the brain. That is not a parenting opinion. That is neurobiology in action. If you are going to replace screens in your home, I challenge you to think even bigger than just your child. Make it contagious. Get the neighbors involved. Invite the friends. Turn it into movement mornings where everyone shows up, parents included. Meet at the local track. Run the stairs at the park. Set up relay races in the cul-de-sac. Have the kids jog a lap, walk a lap, and repeat. Do timed shuttle runs. Create obstacle courses. Rotate stations, jump rope, planks, bear crawls, sprints, wall sits. Let them race. Let them laugh. Let them compete. Let them sweat. Because here's the truth. This is not just for neurodivergent kids. Movement is not a special intervention for ADHD. It is a biological requirement for human regulation. Every child, regardless of diagnosis, needs cardiovascular stimulation, muscle loading, and rhythmic movement to stabilize mood and improve executive functioning. Exercise increases dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. It lowers baseline cortisol. It improves sleep architecture. It strengthens emotional resilience. It sharpens attention. It builds frustration tolerance. This is foundational mental health infrastructure, not extracurricular fluff. When kids run together, something else happens too: co-regulation. Their nervous systems sync. They bond through shared physical challenge. Social confidence improves, emotional volatility decreases, movement becomes normal instead of optional. Instead of gathering around a screen, they gather around effort. So yes, have your child run to regulate. Have all of them run. Let it be loud. Let it be messy. Let it be consistent. Because the child who learns to regulate through breath, sweat, and recovery does not have to search for regulation through nicotine, substances, or constant stimulation later. We are not just burning energy. We are building a healthy and regulated nervous systems. This episode is for educational purposes and to provide support. It is not a substitute for professional mental health evaluation, diagnosis, or treatment. The more we understand what screens actually do to a neurodivergent nervous system, the more confident we can become in setting limits that feel hard but heal deeply. As someone who has been married for over 30 years and raised a neurodivergent child into a thriving adult, I can tell you this: structure is not the enemy of connection. It is what makes connection possible. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode made you uncomfortable, that's okay, growth usually does. Share it with a parent who needs permission to lead again. You can find more resources at thepaththopeacetherapy.com, follow me on Instagram at thepaththopeacetherapy, or email me directly at stephanieb@thepaththopeacetherapy.com. And as always, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace, and remember, peace is possible, and you don't have to do this alone.